Hey, it's Luigi here. I'm the Tour de Bloc director. I volunteer with the CEC, and I'm also the founder of Friction Climbing Holds. Season 8, it was a challenging season, but I think all in all it worked out really well. The increasing the number of competitors this year kind of went through the roof. So steadily we've seen growth season after season after season. Climbers Rock is a gym in Burlington, Ontario that opened up 3 years ago now. It's one of the new gyms. The bouldering terrain at Climbers Rock is probably some of the best in the country. So it's very well suited for doing high-end bouldering comps, and it works really well for nationals.
I really like this gym for nationals because there is a lot of varied terrain, and there's also a lot of steep terrain as well as some not so steep terrain. And of course there's a really wide open space which allows us to run men and women simultaneously.
I think Climbers Rock is a good choice for nationals because their bouldering wall is so long and it has so many different angles.
And everything's set out. It's one of the few facilities in the country where you can have problems running concurrently without them being squeeze jobs. It's also high enough you don't have to start people low to get your moves in. If anything, you can do a jump start and still have 6, 7 really good moves after it. So you can really open up and just you can just kind of throw down with the setting. You're not so worried about fall zones. You're not worried. Is it enough moves? Is this a straight up problem? It just doesn't come into play. So there's just room to do what you do here. That's it. We've had a lot of fun.
My favorite problem in qualifiers was women's number 4. So I didn't send that problem, but I really like crimpy problems and kind of longer moves, bad slopes at the end, and it just was a matter of making sure you were totally on your game for the last couple moves. Most challenging was women's qualifier number 3. So lots of pinches. I'm not good on pinches.
Number 3 was my favorite problem. It was really cool. I'm really disappointed I didn't finish it in qualifiers, but it was burly. It had a good jump in it, and I felt strong on it, which I guess helped. But it was just an awesome problem. It was really fun the way my feet cut out and I had to get them back on every time. I loved it.
It was pretty fun. I wish it had gone a little bit better, but that's the nature of the game. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We have bad days so we can have good ones later. I think problem number 3 probably stood out the most. I wish I had read the foot first beta like the first go instead of seeing it last go, but that one and number 4, that dyno, is just such a ridiculous out there movement, creating momentum with the opposite foot. So cool, really brilliant.
Dustin in the qualifiers on problem 4, he came out and he wasn't Dustin Curtis, and then suddenly at the very end Dustin Curtis came back and he just finishes the problem with 30 seconds left after like 20 attempts. Like, there's that fear, you count on people being a certain way, but they're humans.
We just finished forerunning. Me and John Bowles came in to forerun tonight, and Tirza Carpenter and Reagan Kennedy. The problems are amazing. They are out of this world. They are so much fun, and they are hard. I hope those boys and girls have a lot left in them. It's going to be awesome. The problems are ingenious and creative and inventive, and there's different styles, there's some trickery, there's some tech, there's some straight out, thugged out pulling. Oh, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be so good tomorrow.
I was asked to forerun women's finals, and I've forerun before, and it was mostly a free-for-all the other times that I've forerun. You're on your own, you're trying the problem. Last night was super structured, and I have a way better idea of why they need that. So they had 2 women forerunning, myself and Tirza. Tirza represented the top women's bracket, and I represented the bottom women's bracket.
Forerunning last night was awesome. It was really fun. It felt really good to be part of finals even though I wasn't competing in it.
They were really wanting to see where the lower women were going to come off, and they wanted to see where the top women were going to come off. And if we came off at the same spot, they changed the problem so that I would come off before Tirza.
Qualifiers today, Went really, really well. Men's especially, I was a little surprised to see Sean fall a few times. Kid from Chicago showed up, I can't remember his name right now, and just blew us away. Even Chris Danielson didn't know who he was, and when Chris doesn't know who he is and I don't know who he is, then he really is coming out of nowhere, a true dark horse. Other than that, you know, women were fantastic. I haven't seen Vicky Weldon compete all season. I've seen Stacey Weldon compete all season, but obviously Vicky and Stacey are really strong. We wondered how they would pair against Angie and Sasha, and apparently they pair pretty well. So it's going to be exciting to see what we do from here.
A couple of the strong women didn't do as well as we thought they would. And that was a surprise.
You know, one interesting surprise is actually that we had this American young kid who I hadn't really heard of, who just kind of stomped. He did really well, and you know, everything else, there's always little quirks and, you know, people that do really well and others that, you know, don't do as well as you expected. But this kid kind of came out of nowhere and did really well. We'll see how he does in finals. It'll be interesting in finals because we have, I think, 13 and 14 competitors per gender. So no huge surprises yet, but plenty left for finals.
The struggles that we found at this comp was that, you know, from past comps, there are, say, only 5 or 6 people, really strong people that are close and contenders that you end up setting for, versus this comp, the depth of the field was a lot greater. So we, you know, it was almost anybody's game, which was kind of evident with the nationals qualifiers today. And it's definitely harder to set for a wider field that has, you know, a lot different strengths, and it clearly showed today with how people climbed.
I guess if I worry about anything, it's that you set for how people did the day before, and then the next day comes around, and you know, today I feel like Angie Payne was Angie Payne, and I think there might be a little bit more Angie Payne there. Vicky and Stacey were definitely Vicky and Stacey climbing the way they climbed. Sasha, I don't have a lot of experience with, but having seen, you know, her results and seeing how she climbed today, she seemed to be pretty on. You know, the fear is you set for that, you compensate for that in the finals, and then the next day, 2 or 3 of them aren't them that day. The variable between hoping that 5 or 6 girls or 6 or 7 guys or whichever are what they were the day before based on the tweaks you made, it's a gamble. So of course you're fearful. You know, it's if they do well, you look great, and if they don't, you look like an idiot because you made all these tweaks, and then it's like you overestimated the field. It's always like that.
We have quite a show in store for finals. We've tried to play off of some of the women's weaknesses as well as some of their strengths.
Tomorrow for finals, I think we have a bit of everything in store. The men's, we've got compression, slopers, pinches, big slaps, powerful dynamic moves that I think you'll see both shorter and taller climbers go through the ringer. Having to get to the same hold, small climbers are going to have to release and catch, whereas taller climbers, I know, have that tendency to want to leave their feet behind. Great, they get to the hold, they have to release and then control their big body swinging. So it all evens out in the long run as far as that goes. For the women, we have some really powerful stuff. Particularly women's 4, I'm really excited to see. It's very technical at the beginning and then it gets explosive at the end. You know, it's the last problem. Girls, their brains might be a little tired, but they still have the guns. They're going to be just fine at the end of it. Same with the men's. I really believe we've set it up. We've taken the risk that maybe 3 out of 4 problems will get sent, but we figured because of double ties in the women's, it's better to risk something not getting sent and have it hard enough to really separate than risk, you know, a 4-way tie coming through. But I think with the men's, we really have it set up to have one person come through and send all 4, maybe 2, but the second person will be a more attempt. So it should be, I really think it's one of the best finals we've ever come across. I'm Jody Mile. I'm the head route setter for this, and my job is to come here and help coordinate the route setting team and get everything done.
My name is Chris Danielson, and I'm a route setter for this comp.
My name is Aaron Eden, and I'm one of the setters for the 2011 NEC Canadian Bouldering Nationals.